this is Dr. Do again. This video is outside of medicine. Continue the book of Iliad by Homer. I'm going to continue to read. Her voice ran out in tears, but the wife of Hector had not heard a thing. No messenger brought the truth of how her husband made his stand outside the gates. She was weaving at her loom deep in the high halls, working flowered, breathing into a dark red folding robe, and she called her well-kept woman through the house to set a large three-legged cauldron over the fire, so Hector could have his steaming hot bath when he came home from battle. Poor woman, she never dreamed how far he was from bathing, struck down at Achilles' hand by blazing-eyed Athena, but she heard the groans and wail of grief from the rampart now, and her body shook. Her shuttle dropped to the ground. She called out to her lovely waiting woman, "Quickly, two of you, follow me. I must see what's happening." That cry, that was Hector's honored mother, I heard. My heart's pounding, leaping up in my throat. The knees beneath me paralyzed. Oh, I know it. Something terrible coming down on Priam's children. Pray God the news will never reach my ears. Yes, but I dreaded so. What if great Achilles had cut my Hector off from the city, daring Hector, and driven him out across the plain, and all alone? He may have put an end to that fatal headstrong pride that always seized my Hector, never hanging back with the main force of men, always charging ahead, giving ground to no man in his fury. So he cried, dashing out of the royal halls like a mad woman, her heart racing hard, her women close behind her. But once she reached the tower where soldiers massed, she stopped on the rampart, looked down, and saw it all. Saw him dragged before the city, stallions galloping, dragging Hector back to Achaeans' big warships. Ruthless work. The world went back as night before her eyes. She fainted, falling backward, gasping away her life breath. She flung to the wind her glittering headdress, the cap and the coronet, braided band and wheel, all the regalias golden Aphrodite gave her once. The day that Hector, helmet aflash in sunlight, led her home to Troy from her father's house, with countless wedding gifts to win her heart, but crowding round her now, her husband's sisters and brothers' wives supported her in their midst, and she, terrified, stunned to the point of death, struggling for breath now and coming back to life, burst out in grief among the children women. "O Hector, I am destroyed, both born to the same fate after all. You at Troy in the house of King Priam, I at Thebes under the timberline of Placos. Aeacian's house, he raised me as a child, that man of doom. His daughter just as doomed. Would to God he'd never fathered me. Now you go down to the house of death, dark depths of the earth, and leave me here to waste away in grief, a widow lost in the royal house, and the boy only a baby, the son we bore together, you and I so doomed. Hector, what help are you to him? Now you are dead. What help is he to you? Think even if he escapes the wrenching horrors of war against Argives, pain and labor will plague him all his days to come. Stranger will mark his land off, stealing his estate, the day that orphans youngest cut him off from friends, and he hands his head low, humiliatingly every way, his cheeks stained with tears and pressed by hunger. The boy goes up to his father's old companions, tugging at one man's cloak, another's tunic, and some will pity him, true, and one will give him a little cup to drink, enough to wet his lip, not to quench his thirst. But then some bully, with both his parents living, beats him from the banquet, fists and abuse flying. You get out, you've got no father, feast with us here. And the boy, sobbing, trails home to his widowed mother, Astyanax, and years ago, propped on his father's knee, he would only eat the marrows, the richest cuts of lamb, and when sleep came to him, he had quit his play, cradled warm in his nurse's arm, his jaws off. Snug in the soft bed, his heart brimmed with joy. Now, what suffering, now he's lost his father. Astyanax, the lord of city, so the children called him, because it was you, Hector, you and you alone, who shielded the gates and the long walls of Troy. But now, by the big ships, far from your parents, glistening worms will wriggle through your flesh. Once the dogs have had their fill of your marked corpse, though we have such stores of clothing laid up in the house, fine things, a joy to the eyes, the work of woman's hand. Now, by God, I will burn them all, blazing to the skies, no use to you now. They will never shroud your body, but they will be your glory, burned by the chosen man and woman in your honors. Her voice ran out in tears, and the woman wailed in answers. Book 23. Funeral Games for Patroclus. So they grieved at Troy, while Achilles' troops pulled back. Once they reached the warship moor at the Hellespont, the contingent scattered, each man to his own ship, but Achilles still would not dismiss his myrmidons. He gave his battle-loving comrades strict commands. Charioteers in fast formation, France to the death. We must not lose our teams from the war cars yet. All in battle order, drive them past. Patroclus, a cottage will mourn the man with teams and chariots. These are the soulman honors owed the dead, and then, after we've seized our hearts with tears and dirge, we free the teams and all take supper here. All as one, the armies cried out in sorrow, and Achilles led the chant. 3 times they drove their full-manned stallions round the body. Mildedon soldiers mourning, and among them Thetis stirred a deep desire to grieve, and the sands grew wet. The armor of fighting men grew wet with tears. Such bitter longing he roused. Patroclus, that terror who routed Trojans headlong, Achilles led them now in a throbbing chant of sorrow, laying his man-killed hands on his great friend's chest. Farewell, Patroclus, even there in the house of death. Look, all that I promised once I'm performing now. I've dragged Hector here for the dogs to rape him raw, and here in front of your flaming pair I'll cut the throats of a dozen sons of Troy in all their shining glory, venting my rage on them for your destruction. So he triumphed, and again he was bent on outrage, on sharing noble Hector. He flung him face down in the dust beside Patroclus' bier, and down to the last until all seized off their armor, fine burnished bronze, and released their neighing teams and took their seats by the swift-running Achilles' ship. Myrmidons in their thousands, and he set before them all a handsome funeral feast to meet their heart's desire. I'm going to stop here today and continue next time. Thank you for watching.